Good morning. It's Sunday, and my task is to walk the dog while my wife is preparing us to go to a little trip to our weekend house so that we can enjoy this beautiful Sunday. I am going to walk through my favorite park here with my doggie, and while I'm doing this, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Mayan calendar. In nature, everything moves in cycles and rhythms. And one of the most important cycles in the nature is a 52-year-old cycle. Not old, but long cycle. Once you have a guitar who has strings, and if you plunk the sixth string, the first string will also resonate, because those two strings are one octave away. It's simply called resonance. In the same fashion, I'm calling my dog. In the same fashion, things in nature also resonate. So this 52-year-old cycle is basically a cycle which can be found in the stars. Where exactly is that if you look to the Sirius, and apparently when you look with your naked eye you can see a single star, but once you use some equipment you can see the Sirius is actually a binary star. It's a binary system, and there is a two-star, Sirius A and Sirius B, and the smaller star is rotating around the larger star, and this cycle is exactly 52 years long. And when you look at the sky, the Sirius is the most bright star on our sky, which we can see by naked eye in the Milky Way. Again, doggy. So this is very ancient knowledge, and for instance, people in Egypt knew it, and the Cheops pyramid is designed in such a way that one of the openings of the pyramid are pointing exactly at the Sirius star. Why I'm talking about this? This is the master cycle in time, and it resonates with other smaller cycles. So the Mayan calendar is basically a science of cycles of time, and it goes like this. The smaller cycle is the 4-period cycle. 4-period cycle, or we can say 4-day cycle, 4-period cycle. 4-period cycle mimics the most important architecture in the design. And this is, for instance, you take a brain cell, and the brain cell information flows through 4 phases. First, there is an input, then is a storage, then is a processing, then it's an output. So input, storage, process, output is the basic cycle. The next cycle is a 5-day cycle, a 5-period cycle, when you add one more step. So you have input, storage, process, output, and reflection, self-reflection. So this is basically this main cycle, which is embedded in the architecture of your brain cell. So you go input, storage, process, output, reflect. So hence you have in the Mayan calendar, if you look in the calendars, you have all these symbols which have different colors. So there are 4 colors which goes in succession, and it goes red, white, blue, yellow, and then it goes red again. So whenever in the Mayan cycle you have a cycle of 4 consecutive days or kinds, the colors are changing, and every 5th cycle the colors is the same, which means that every 5th cycle there is a small harmonic resonance which is happening in the system. So we have 4-period cycle, we have 5-period cycle. The next period cycle is the 7-day cycle. Very important cycle, because this is the cycle where you have mechanics of creations. Why this 7 number is important? Because it has to do with doubling circles, doubling sequence. For instance, when you have a cell, the first day cell doubles. The second days it's doubling of doubling. So you have 1 cell, 2 cell, then it continues. It goes 4 cells, then goes 8 cells, then goes 16 cells, then goes 32 cells, and finally it goes to 64 cells. So you have 7 doubling sequences or 7 days of creation. That's why the number 7 is very important. In the nature, in the first 7 periods, you have period of creation, and after 7 days onwards, you have a period of evolution. So creation precedes evolution, or evolution is part of a creation. It's one and the same continuum, just different from different points of view. Ray! Okay, my dog is not very disciplined. Okay, so far we have 4-day cycle, 5-day cycle, 7-day cycle. 7-day cycle is such important cycle that's even mentioned in the Bible and other holy scriptures. The next cycle in the row is a 13-day cycle. 13-day cycle is basically 2 7-day cycles back to back with 1 day, which is called Sunday or Sabbath in Bible, a common day. So you basically have like a 7 and 7, 14, but one of these days are common. So you have 13-period cycle. This dog is getting on my nerves because he is not following where I'm going. Okay, so now we have 4, 5, 7, and 13. 13 is a very important cycle, and in Mayan calendars it's depicted as 13 tones. You have 13 tones, and every tone has its certain quality. The next cycle is 20, and in Mayan calendar you have 20 solar seals. You have 20 different aspects, 20 different aspects of energies which are coming from the sun towards the earth. That's why the number is 20. And you have 13 tones or 13 different waves of how these energies are going through its cycle of evolution, which is basically 2 7 periods back to back periods of what's in? Go there. Oh, with back to back. So I'm finding a little bit different to manage the dog, who is like sniffing and talking in the camera at the same time. Sorry for this. So far we saw that there is a 4-period cycle, 5-period cycle, 7-period cycle, 13-period cycle, 20-period cycle. Then there are longer periods, like 4 times 7 is 28, which is basically 1 moon cycle, where you have stacked 4 7-day cycles. Here is the first example of the fractal. At the beginning you had like 4 1-day cycles. Once you consider that 1 week is actually like a 1 kin, all of a sudden you have a 4 1 period now being 7-day cycle, so you have 28 cycles. So the 4-day cycle and 20-day cycles are like a brother, when 1 day is equal to 1 week. This is example of harmonic resonance, how cycles are stacking on top of each other. Okay, now we can go further, and the next cycle, which is important, is 260 period cycles. 260 period cycle is nothing more than 20 solar seals time 13 vibrations, you have 260 period cycle, which is called in Mayan parlance one Tzolkin cycle or one harmonization model. This cycle is basically repeating all the time, one after one after one after one, and after 52 years you arrived at the same position as far as energy is concerned like at the beginning of this 52-year period cycle. That's why in Mayan parlance, when you are 52 years old, you are being told that you have experienced the serious rebirth. You basically now going through the phase in time where you have been exactly 52 years ago, and everything is the same apart from Earth position in the sky, because now the Earth is going into the new position into the sky. Now, as far as this is concerned, it's very important to notice that in the nature everything vibrates and rotates. So you have Earth rotating around its axis. You also have Earth revolving around the Sun, and then Sun and Earth are also revolving about the center of the gravity pertinent to the Sun, which is called the central Sun or central galaxy. So you have this revolution, rotation, and precession. And these three items have been always tracked by the ancient culture, and the most advanced tracking system has been done by the Mayans, where they had like 17 different types of calendars to track all of these motions of heavenly bodies, which were in turn affecting the human consciousness. So once you track all these cycles, it's basically that you have a map of the time. It's like knowing when the rain will fall, if I compare this to the weather management. So in the same way you have the map of the place, like on the Google map, you have the map of the time if you adhere to the principles of Mayan calendar, which is very, very useful, because it actually helps you to determine what is the most important task you can do in a single day to feel centered. And once you feel centered, then you can take consciously inspired action, which will lead you one step toward whatever you deem your goal to be. Hence, you can live consciously and practice art of conscious living. You can create rather than recreate some unresolved issue from your subconscious mind, which you have subconsciously and probably unconsciously programmed there before, as a result of some kind of traumatic event in your life, or as a result of a childhood programming, because at that time your mind was very susceptible to the influences of the surroundings. Now, knowing this, it is very helpful because you can manage your inside by yourself, and you can enhance this by deliberately choosing to be in the resonance with the planet Earth, with the moon, with the solar system. Hence, you put yourself in the resonance with the nature as a whole. Plus, when you center yourself inward, you are now in resonance with your inner being, and you can use your systems consciously. Now, you don't have to be spiritual or religious or any kind of this nature. It's just practical. I mean, if you command your inner state of mind, you have a full control of your body. And if you have a full control of your body, you automatically have you can master what is going inside, and you can use this creatively, for instance, to heal yourself if you have any kind of illness. Very useful if you have some kind of a illness which is kind of long in duration. You have a chronic conditions. You can now control these things by the focused creative imagination. Because if you remember from our previous talks, your brain has these three regions, right, left, and middle. And by the way, where you focus your attentions and how you use your imaginations, you are creating certain processes in your body which are reflected in the new neural networks combinations in your mind, which are then converted into chemical processes. Hence, you are stimulating indirectly your endocrine systems, which, by the way of the breath control, you can propagate further to your body. Hence, you can heal yourself, which is very, very practical. I have used this process to rid myself of the symptoms of prostatitis, which is a typical prostate problem in the males once you reach the 50 thresholds. I have used this process to fix my eyes. I had like a dioptry, I think +2 or +1, something like this. I was starting to lose my sight, and now I actually see normally. I have also used this process to get rid of the symptoms of bipolar disorder, which is a mental disorder. Usually you have a genetical predispositions, and then you have some kind of a trigger stressful action, which in my case was something related to the bankruptcy and many issues. So you can combine these things to heal yourself, which is very, very practical thing. And knowing Mayan calendar, you basically know when to do what in order to help yourself, which is extremely powerful things. Now, if you are a little bit spiritual, then you can use this for your own spiritual advancement. And if you happen to believe in law of attractions, then you can use this to manifest whatever you want in your life. So how and what and where you want to be and use and to achieve you using this knowledge, it's entirely up to you. And I encourage everybody to explore these things because it is very, very useful. Have a great day. Bye.